There are hundreds, even thousands of people working hard every day in Ottawa's tech sector to create a more innovative and vibrant community. Many of the thought leaders have advocated for a tighter connection between industry and post secondary institutions. Today's show is entirely devoted to the progress that's being made between the University of Ottawa and local tech companies, especially in Kanata North. Curious to learn more? Stay tuned for this episode of Techopia Live. Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Curran from the Ottawa Business Journal. Welcome to another episode of Techopia Live. This is a regular podcast from OBJ that features interviews with executives from next generation technology companies, as well as leaders from Ottawa's technology ecosystem. We've got a mission here at Techopia, and let me tell you a little bit about it. Number one is to share knowledge and create a deeper level of understanding of what's happening in the local tech ecosystem. It's something that's pretty important these days. I'm not sure everybody's clued in, and that's one thing we can help with here at Techopia. Number two, explore issues that are common to local tech firms. And I think we're going to touch on that in today's episode. And then three, just kind of level up the tech sector. That one's a little bit more nebulous, but that's what we're trying to do. I want to thank you for tuning in today. If you're enjoying the podcast, reminder to share it with a friend and expand our technology community. Okay, we got a good issue in today's show, and it's an issue that I think a lot of tech leaders consider to be critical when we're talking about the long-term success of the local tech sector. So we're getting into a little bit of economic development type thinking in this type of podcast. If you study the history of successful U.S. Tech centers in the U.S., so think about Silicon Valley, think about Boston, Cambridge, or Silicon Alley, there's a common element to all of those success stories. And that common element is often the connection between post-secondary institutions and private sector technology companies. And it's often said, I think it's true in the US, and it's absolutely true here in Canada, and more specifically here in Ottawa, that universities are critical to the development of the tech region when it comes to stuff like research and collaboration, commercialization, talent. In today's episode, we're going to explore all of that by getting an update from the University of Ottawa on its ongoing push to collaborate and work more closely with technology companies, especially when it comes to Kanata North. Let's welcome our guest now. He is the Director of Innovation and Partnerships for University of Ottawa and Kanata North. Here is Sean Geddes. Hello, Sean.
Hi, Michael. Thanks for having me on the show today.
Well, that's a heck of a spot you're talking to us from. I think your colleague Guy has been in that location. But for those people that didn't see that, where are you, Sean? Because this to me looks like technology innovation.
So right now I'm set up in the Smart Connected Vehicle Innovation Center, which is uOttawa's Faculty of Engineering Lab, which is situated right here in the heart of Canada's largest tech park in Kanata North.
That is super cool. And there's all sorts of fascinating work. And it's just that location kind of exemplifies what we're going to be talking about here, Sean, which is the relationship, between uOttawa, specifically in Kanata North. But tell me a little bit about your job. What's your role at uOttawa when it as it relates to Kanata North?
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, well, my role is quite simple. Out here in the tech park, it's all about building bridges between the uOttawa community and the tech community in Kanata North. So this largely falls into three main areas around fostering mutually beneficial R&D partnerships, around gaining or enabling access to talent, as well as providing opportunities for professional development. And I would say a fourth element underlying all of these main buckets is around community engagement. So we're quite active in the community out here in Kanata North, but also on main campus.
You reminded me, I forgot that one in the intro. So, and we're going to talk about it. So certainly kind of the ongoing learning opportunities is another way post-secondaries can help. Now, uOttawa has been on this kind of push or initiative to work more closely in Kanata North. And you've just hit a big milestone, Sean. Tell me what big anniversary passed a couple months ago.
So we're very proud to say that this past formally April, but we celebrated in May.
Okay.
We reached 5 years in the tech park. So as the first academic institution to set up shop in Kanata North, we were quite proud to reach that milestone. And in doing so, we were able to celebrate with our partners, bring them all together for a morning of recognition and, just celebration in our, uOttawa Kanata North campus space.
Absolutely. And if you're an old guy like me, 5 years is significant. I kind of look at the tech sector, and there are those that look far past me, but from a kind of a 25-year perspective, this is a notable thing we're talking about here. So I just want to underline it before we get into some of the success stories here, Sean. It's 5 years. Like, this is something that Ottawa has wanted for a long time, and it's happening right in Kanata North. So it's pretty cool. So when you look back at those 5 years, Sean, tell me about some of the notable achievements over that period.
Honestly, it's hard to believe that it's already been 5 years. I mean, at this point, we're almost approaching closer to 6 years. But over the past 5 years, we saw significant growth in terms of our footprint in the tech park. After opening our campus here, we were just shy of 4,000 square feet. Just 2 years later, we doubled our square footage and we opened the first academic institution research lab in the tech park, known as the Smart Connected Vehicle Innovation Center, which brought our entire campus to about 8,000 square feet. Around the same time, Hub 350 was also launching, and we joined as an anchor partner and set up a smaller footprint there, which is a nice meeting area just next to the RBCX space. And then in terms of activity over the last 5 years, we've seen our R&D partnerships and collaborations increased over 60. Our co-op team is quite active here. We've seen our annual placements, and these are on an annual basis, almost double for our students. So we're seeing more and more students active out here in the tech park. We're seeing on the research side, we're seeing research internships increase as well. So these are individuals that are embedded within research teams in industry who gain that unique experience. And over the past 5 years, we've seen those numbers almost quadruple on an annual basis. So we've seen some quite incredible growth for the last 5 years, and we're looking forward to building on that success.
When I think back at the research group at the University of Ottawa, and also many of the deans I've talked to at some of the engineering schools, it's always been a goal, Sean, to have R&D partnerships. So to have either students or postgrad students, graduate students working directly with local companies on their research. So give us a sense of some of those research partnerships that exist today, Sean.
I'd love to. That is one item that's certainly top of mind, a priority for our initiative in the tech park, and exploring how we can build these large-scale collaborations with industry partners in the tech park between their R&D teams and our research teams on our 4 campuses. Just to mention, one thing that some might not be aware of is that the University of Ottawa is actually it's ranked a top 8 research intensive university in Canada. We're actually ranked number 2 in the province, next to an institution that you might know located downtown Toronto. So we're in a unique position in Canada and in the province to provide substantial support for the R&D teams within companies in the tech park. So moving into our next 5-10 years, we're starting to explore unique opportunities where we can engage companies around R&D partnerships. So as an example, we're looking towards opportunities for building joint R&D labs with companies, which would essentially foster innovation and the transformation of innovative ideas to real world solutions that can be guided through our collaboration with industry partners.
It's a really good point. And I think just generally, I don't think people in Ottawa have a sense of how big the research budgets are at institutions like uOttawa. They're in the hundreds of millions of dollars. It's something that we don't really appreciate. We might be really focused on, a venture capital deal or venture venture capital or an IPO or something like that. But there's a lot of work going on there. Talk to me a little bit about industry research chairs. So this is a kind of a really cool idea where a chair, an academic can work directly with industry on some sort of really innovative idea. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, it's certainly something that we're exploring moving ahead. Essentially, what it comes down to is finding that mutual alignment between industry R&D teams and our R&D teams on main campus, where they have the same priorities, looking at the long term. So in those situations, we can work together to establish a joint named research chair for a company. And what this means is it would essentially have a dedicated group to work with the industry partner on a specific area of research and build that out over multiple years.
That's really neat. And there's a concept in industry research chairs, Sean's, that you can take public funding and then you can kind of leverage it to do more. That's part of the strategy behind all of this?
Absolutely. So when we're working with industry partners, what we've heard, especially in the tech park, is they love to take advantage of some of these public sector funding opportunities that you gain access to by working with academic institutions. So these opportunities are always top of mind as we engage with our partners and looking to, leverage, whether it's doubling an R&D budget, tripling, or even in some cases quadrupling the budget. This is something that's always advantageous in building out the partnerships.
Super neat. Listen, Sean, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So we've just finished working with uOttawa on a new video, and we're going to roll it here. It recognizes the involvement of uOttawa engineering and other faculties in Techopia. So let's take a look at that video right now. Welcome to the University of Ottawa's Faculty of Engineering, where world-class researchers and state-of-the-art facilities drive innovation and skills development. Explore the uOttawa IBM Cyber Range, an unparalleled immersive facility in downtown Ottawa. Developed with IBM, it offers hands-on cybersecurity training and serves as a testing ground for cutting-edge technologies. Perfect for organizations seeking to elevate their cybersecurity expertise, the Cyber Range offers customizable training tailored to your needs. At the University of Ottawa Kanata North campus, the Smart Connected Vehicle Innovation Center is at the forefront of autonomous and connected vehicle technology. Through strategic partnerships, we can co-innovate with industry leaders in Canada's largest tech park. Learn more about our facilities and how we drive your organization forward by visiting our website today. And we're back talking with Sean Geddes, Director of Innovation and Partnerships at uOttawa Kanata North. Sean, I went to school in the university in the 1980s. My university didn't look like that. That looks pretty awesome, by the way. It's kind of redefining what a university experience, particularly in terms of the integration with private sector and research. So, listen, again, when I think back on some of my past discussions with deans of engineering, they've always been very keen not only to do that research component, which is really neat, but also to support companies in developing their engineering talent sometimes. I think you've got a kind of a cool story about Nokia to share with us.
That's right, Michael. So some of you might have seen recently, we had a feature in the Ottawa Business Journal around a partnership between uOttawa and Nokia through our Professional Development Institute and our Faculty of Engineering, which essentially, one thing that I think is unique to highlight about that partnership is that our Professional Development Institute worked closely with Nokia's team to develop customized training relevant for the Nokia team. So we have our standard catalog that our Professional Development Institute can offer to companies in the tech park in terms of programs that they can tap into, but they're also there to co-develop, co-create programs that are tailored to the companies and address their important needs as well. So this is just one example where they have done this, and this is something that we're looking to maintain that momentum in the tech park.
Yeah. And sometimes that's custom, sometimes it's more ready to go courses. Sean, I think we wanted to talk about co-op too. So, that's yet another separate. We're talking about, yeah, a long list of benefits here coming through. But tell me, like, co-op placements within Canada North, I guess, are on the rise too. I think you mentioned a quick number a few minutes ago.
Yeah, absolutely. We're proud to say that we've almost doubled co-op internships in the tech park on an annual basis. We're hoping to see that level of engagement continue to increase as we move forward. One thing that I would like to highlight too is that our program recently underwent a change. In the past, we've heard from our industry partners that they prefer what's known as a continuous placement model for co-op. And just this past March, this is the process that our co-op program has moved to. So we're very excited about this. I think it's a clear example of how we're adapting based on what we hear from our industry partners. Another thing this means is that it essentially simplifies the process for our partners. Whether you're tapping into talent, an institution down the road, or at uOttawa, it's the same process.
That's really neat. Yeah, streamlining those co-op does make sense, right? Because there's a little bit of an admin investment in it and that type of stuff. Sean, when I think of you and Guy Levesque, it's a little bit about buildings and programs. It's also about both of you and your colleagues having lots of community engagement out there. So it's not simply it's both of you taking a leadership. And it would be easy to assume that a lot of the involvement from uOttawa and in Kanata North would simply be, research or engineering or maybe a little bit of Telfer. But in fact, it's more broad than that. There's lots of faculties at uOttawa involved in Kanata North. Is that right, Sean?
That's right, Michael. At the moment, I believe we have 7 out of our 10 faculties currently active or represented in the tech park in the various areas that we're active at the moment. And you mentioned community engagement there, and that is certainly top of mind for us and a top priority. We're constantly looking for opportunities to bring more programs, more events, more activities, more workshops that make sense, that resonate with the tech community out here in Kanata North. While at the same time, because we are that bridge between the two communities, bringing more of Kanata North to uOttawa campuses as well. So we're constantly looking for opportunities on both sides to strengthen those ties and look for collaborative opportunities.
Very nice. And we talked a little bit about space. When I think back at uOttawa coming to Kanata North, I often think of 535 Leggett. That was, I think, the original spot. Now you're in Hub 350 a little bit in a smaller footprint than that. And I understand there are some talks, let's say, for uOttawa Kanata North campus to move sometime in the future, maybe spring of 2025. Is that what I'm hearing, Sean?
Great, Michael. We're currently working on plans at the moment, but the target date is March, April 2025.
And what's the goal, Sean, would be to make yourself more integrated or visible, or what are some of the ideas that's driving this idea to relocate within the park?
Well, one thing is, with this move, we've started to think about what has worked really well in our current location, and where there's areas for improvement as well. So one thing that this move has offered was the opportunity to redesign, rethink, and explore how we can change and shift the footprint of our campus space and make it not that our current space hasn't worked well for us, but optimize it even further to make it even more useful for our needs out here.
Yeah, I get it. You reach a 5-year milestone and you want to think about what's working and what you can do even better. So listen, we're in the wrap up part of this podcast, but I wanted to ask you if there's probably people watching the video or listening on audio, Sean. What are some of the ways that people can work, tech companies can work with uOttawa? Give us a sense of what that looks like.
Some of the ways, I mean, the main areas that we're active out here in the tech park, as you mentioned at the beginning, Michael, are around R&D partnerships, enabling access to talent, whether it's through co-op, undergrad internships, or research internships that are happening at the graduate and postdoc level, or providing access to some of our various professional development programs and courses. But in terms of how to engage with uOttawa, really what we always say is it starts with a conversation. So what I would recommend is to reach out to our team out here in Kanata North, start the conversation. Our approach is always, how can we help? Understanding where your needs are, where we can provide support, and then continuing the conversation by bringing the right people around the table from uOttawa.
Cool. And we'll put your contact information or the appropriate contact information in the show notes, Sean. So listen, we've come to the end of our conversation here, Sean. It's been great, though. We've checked in with your colleague, Guy, over the years, but I think it really is important to provide these updates on what's happening. It's been such a long-term goal to have our post-secondaries even more integrated into the tech sector. And Kanata North is just the perfect spot in the city for a lot of that to happen, Sean. So thank you for spending some time with us and enumerating all of these different ways uOttawa's involved in the community. Wishing you continued success, Sean.
So much, Michael.
All right. That was Sean Geddes from the University of Ottawa, who specializes in those partnerships in Kanata North. Listen, I want to thank you for watching or listening. I hope Techopia is keeping you connected and informed. That's part of our mission here at Techopia. We want to keep building Ottawa's technology utopia. That is Techopia. See you soon, everyone. Cheers.